Welcome to this deep dive,
Mhm.
and we're going to be exploring a really remarkable story.
Okay.
Um, the Al-Abase family and their experiences during and after the Iraq War.
Wow.
And we've got this really compelling interview with Asra and April,
Mhm.
two sisters who were very young when the conflict just completely upended their lives.
Yeah.
And so instead of kind of giving a broad overview of the whole war,
Right.
we're going to really zoom in on the family's journey
Okay.
and, just reveal how these global events can just completely,
Yeah.
reverberate through individual lives.
It's a reminder, I think, that history isn't just about, dates and battles. It's
Mhm.
about the human stories, that kind of unfold within those larger events.
Absolutely. And to really get a sense of their experience, we kind of have to go back to October 2004,
Okay.
when the Iraqi city of Samar fell to U.S. forces.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't just, a simple victory.
Right.
Samar was a place where tribal allegiances were just, deeply divided, with some groups supporting Saddam Hussein and others opposing him.
So it's complex.
It's extremely complex and dangerous.
Yeah.
And right in the middle of all this was the Al-Abase family.
Oh, wow. So imagine trying to navigate that landscape.
Right.
One wrong move,
Yeah,
one misjudged alliance could have, dire consequences.
absolutely. And that's where the father, Majid,
Hmm.
really made a decision that just underscores the moral dilemmas that people faced.
Yeah.
He chose to work with U.S. forces against ISIS,
Wow.
putting himself at immense risk.
Wow.
Think about it, 5 pro-Saddam tribes,
Okay.
groups fiercely loyal to Hussein,
Yeah.
operating in the very area where Majid was helping American soldiers.
That's
Right?
incredible.
It is.
Talk about an act of courage. I mean, it would have
Right.
been much easier and arguably safer to just remain neutral or even side with,
Yeah.
the stronger factions.
Right.
But he clearly felt a moral obligation
Yeah.
to do what he believed was right, even if it meant, jeopardizing his own safety.
His daughters, even though they were young at the time,
Right.
they learned about their father's actions.
Yeah.
They heard stories about his selflessness,
Mm-hmm.
like how he would travel for miles just to find food for them,
Oh, wow.
even when resources were scarce.
Right.
And the journey itself was dangerous.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about his character and his commitment to his family.
These seemingly small acts of love and sacrifice, I think,
Right.
become so powerful when you view them against the backdrop of war.
Absolutely.
They highlight the enduring strength of family bonds, even amidst chaos and violence.
And tragically, Majid's bravery ultimately cost him his life.
Oh, no.
He was murdered.
Wow.
And the most heartbreaking part is that his son, Omar, witnessed the entire event.
Oh, my gosh.
It's just a stark reminder of the brutality of war.
Yeah.
How it can shatter lives in an instant.
And this underscores a crucial point, I think.
Yeah.
The impact of war extends far beyond the immediate casualties. The psychological and emotional scars can linger for years,
Yeah.
shaping the lives of survivors and their families.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that brings us to the mother's experience,
Right.
which is equally harrowing.
Yeah.
Just imagine being a mother in that situation,
Right.
fearing for your children's lives every single day.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard to even fathom the strength
Yeah.
and resilience that she must have possessed.
The sisters shared a chilling story
Okay.
about how their mother hid them,
Yeah.
convinced that they were about to be attacked.
Wow.
She was prepared to do whatever it took to protect her children,
Oh, my.
even if it meant sacrificing herself.
Gosh. Just a primal instinct, isn't it?
It really is. And just when situations seemed utterly hopeless,
Yeah.
there was this moment of incredible relief.
Okay.
2 U.S. soldiers, Captain Grant Wills and Shane Beckard,
Wow.
arrived at their doorstep.
Wow.
They became the family's saviors.
Hmm.
And this act of kindness just forged this bond that has lasted to this day.
It's just a powerful reminder, I think, that even in the midst of, war, compassion and human connection
Yeah.
can flourish.
Now let's shift our focus to how the Al-Abase family navigated life as refugees.
Okay.
Leaving Iraq didn't mean leaving danger behind.
Right.
There was a bounty on Omar's head,
Wow.
and the threat of violence continued to loom over them.
Hmm.
The sisters described this lasting trauma,
Yeah.
how the war's impact went far beyond their initial escape.
This really highlights how war's consequences just ripple outward,
Right.
affecting, individuals and families
Yeah.
long after the fighting has ceased.
Yeah.
It's not just about physical safety.
Right.
It's about the psychological and emotional scars, that
Yeah.
can linger for years.
As they got older, Asra and April began piecing together those fragmented memories of their early childhood.
Right.
They learned more about their father's heroism,
Yeah.
the choices he made,
Mm.
the sacrifices he endured. They also gained a deeper understanding of their mother's strength,
Right.
How she held their family together
Yeah.
in the face of just unimaginable adversity.
It's a process of reclaiming their own history, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of reconstructing their understanding of the past and how it shaped who they are today.
And April in particular
Yeah.
made this really insightful observation
Okay.
about how the media often presented, kind of a sanitized version of the war.
Right.
She felt that it glossed over the brutal realities they had lived through.
That disconnect, I think, between the media narrative and lived experience
Right.
is something that we see time and time again,
Yeah.
especially in conflict zones.
Yeah.
It's a reminder to always seek out diverse perspectives, to go beyond the headlines
Right.
and understand the nuances of these really complex situations.
So what stood out to you from Asra's experience
Yeah.
of returning to Iraq as an adult?
What struck me was how different she found the country to be from what she had seen portrayed in the media.
Yeah.
It was a place that had progressed,
Right.
rebuilt,
Mm-hmm.
and shown remarkable resilience.
Yeah.
It challenged her preconceived notions
Yeah.
and really speaks to the power of firsthand experience.
It underscores how important it is to challenge our own assumptions,
Right.
to be open to new information,
Yes,
and to recognize the complexities of the world around us.
absolutely.
Both sisters emphasized the need to avoid judging the Iraqi people
Mm-hmm.
based solely on the actions of their government.
That's such a crucial point,
Yeah.
We need to remember that every nation is made up of individuals
Right.
with their own, unique hopes,
Mhm.
dreams, and struggles.
Right.
Painting an entire population with just this broad brushstroke is not only inaccurate, but it
But
also
beautiful.
humanizes them.
And their story also highlights the challenges of assimilating into a new culture.
Right.
Imagine navigating a foreign language,
Mm-hmm.
unfamiliar customs, societal expectations,
Yeah.
all while carrying the weight of their past trauma.
It's a testament to their resilience and determination.
Absolutely.
They faced these obstacles head on
Mm-hmm.
and eventually, earned their American citizenship.
Yeah.
A symbol of their hard-won journey and their belonging in a new home.
There's this really powerful detail in the interview
Okay.
where we learn that Majid actually had a premonition of his own death.
Oh, wow.
He told a friend that he knew his time was limited
Wow.
and asked his American allies to look after his family if anything were to happen to him.
That moment is just incredibly poignant.
Yeah.
It reveals the depth of his love for his children
Yeah.
and his acceptance of the risks that he was taking.
And it also underscores the bonds of loyalty and trust
Right.
that were forged amidst those difficult circumstances.
Yeah.
How people from different backgrounds and cultures could come together
Mm-hmm.
and support one another.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that, those bonds of loyalty extend beyond their father's American comrades.
Right.
Al-Abase family itself remains, incredibly close-knit.
Yeah.
Their love for one another,
Yeah.
a constant source of strength.
Throughout their journey, they've emphasized that their actions were always motivated
Right.
by a desire to protect their family and those around them.
It's a message about the importance of unity,
Yeah.
especially in the face of adversity.
They want people to understand that their family is loving and giving,
Mm-hmm.
and they came to the U.S. not for, an easy life,
Yeah.
but for a chance at a new beginning.
They had to fight for years to build a life here.
Yeah.
And their story, I think, really exemplifies the challenges and sacrifices that are often part of the immigrant experience.
Right.
It's not simply about arriving in a new country.
Right.
It's about rebuilding your life from the ground up,
Yeah.
navigating this, complex system
Yeah.
and proving your worth.
It's really inspiring to see how they've come so far and built this new life for themselves.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the human spirit.
Yeah.
That ability to find hope even in the darkest of times.
And it serves as just this powerful reminder that behind every headline about war and conflict,
Right.
there are countless personal stories,
Yeah.
like the Al-Abase families.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in, the grand narratives.
Yeah.
But their experience, I think, compels us to remember the individual lives that are impacted.
Right.
The human faces, behind the statistics.
Absolutely. And their story really challenges us to look deeper, question our assumptions, and engage with the complexities of the world around us.
Right.
So what does this all mean for us?
Yeah.
I think the Al-Abase family's journey is a call to action.
I agree.
Yeah.
It encourages us to seek out, diverse perspectives.
Right.
Challenge our own biases.
Yeah.
And recognize that shared humanity that connects us all, regardless of, background or nationality.
It's a reminder that the effects of war are far-reaching and long-lasting, both for individuals and for societies.
Yep.
We need to acknowledge the courage and resilience of those who navigate its aftermath, and support them in their journey toward healing and rebuilding their lives.
Their story is one that really stays with you.
It does.
Long after you've heard it.
Yeah.
Prompting reflection and a deeper understanding, I think, of the human condition.
Right.
It's a story about love, loss, resilience, and that enduring power of the human spirit to overcome adversity.
As we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with this final thought.
All right.
The Al-Abase sisters challenged us to consider how personal stories like theirs can reshape our understanding of conflict and its aftermath.
Yeah.
They invite us to step outside our comfort zones, to listen with open hearts and minds, and to recognize the intricate tapestry of human experiences that shape our world.
It's a powerful invitation.
It is.
And one that I hope we all accept.
Welcome to the Military Historian Podcast. I'm Lloyd Shellenberger. I'm your host. Thank you for tuning in. We have two special guests here, April and Asra Al-Abase.
Hi, my name is Asra Al-Abase, first name A-S-R-A, last name A-L-A-B-A-S-E.
Hi, I'm Zara Al-Abase, first name Z-A-H-R-A-A, last name A-L-A-B-A-S-E.
Well, I'm glad to have both of you here today, and I'll tell you why. As I told you the other night, I'm a writer. I sat on your story for 21 years, and the more I started looking into your family's history, I realized, oh my God, this is incredible. What has happened to you, and by the way, it is a tragedy on every level, and I want to tell you I'm sorry for what you had to go through. But you were infants at the time. The last time we met was over 20 years ago, when myself and the 49th and other soldiers were taking you out of the Green Zone to fly to New York and then to North Dakota. What has it been like for you being in America? More than that, what is it like for you being an American right now?
Yeah, I can go first. I really enjoy the freedom that I have here, and I can speak my mind and opinion on anything, and yeah, freedom is a big part of what I enjoy of America.
Did your family have freedom in Iraq?
No, they did not.
And you, what about America have you taken away from this whole experience?
I was going to say freedom as well, but I think the community here is extraordinary. I think seeing everybody come together, especially coming for our family, has been such a huge thing growing up, and being able to lean back on all the soldiers and legal professionals that have really inspired our own lives and have really helped us. So I think it's the sense of community and everybody pitching in together to help others, and you don't really find that in other places.
We're literally just 2 days past the anniversary of your father's death. To fill in the audience and let them know what happened, your father, Majid, was murdered in Iraq for helping American soldiers, and your brother Omar was there and witnessed it. It was such a heartfelt story when I heard it and read it, and a lot of times it brought me to tears. What do you know of your father? You were told things, and what are some of those things you were told?
I was told that he's a hero and that he helped the American soldiers and the American government find ISIS and basically dismantle them, yeah, and he was a hero for that.
You were told about him probably by your mother, who we will eventually interview. If you think you've met a braver woman, just wait till you hear more about her. What did your mom say to you about your dad?
My mom's extravagant. Yeah, she's the most brave person I've ever met. And yeah, she's amazing. But growing up, she always told us kind of how they met, and always inspired us to, hopefully find what she had with my father one day. And even though there was I think a lot of people miss and don't really know about my father is the things that he went through as a child and how it kind of made him become such a brave man. And, you know, we've been told stories our entire lives of how selfless he was and how amazing he was. And I think he's left such a big legacy. And I just hearing these stories growing up has made me want to follow in his own legacy.
What kind of stories did they tell you?
I'm not sure where you want me to start, but...
Just put it out there.
Okay.
However you want to.
So there were multiple times where my dad would go and, I guess food during the time was really, really difficult to get. And he would go and travel miles and miles just to get them rice and potatoes and onions. I mean, as in some of the photos that we saw last night. So I think he would do anything for us. And that's exactly what he did. So.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories you remember of him?
Yeah, honestly, I know that every day he risked his life, knowing when he would go to the American soldiers that there would be people looking over him, and he would risk his life just so that he would dismantle ISIS, and he would risk his life every day knowing that. So I think that shows a lot about him and, you know, the strides that he went towards.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but living in Samar, it didn't fall to the American forces until October of 2004 of that year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 5 tribes in that area who were all pro-Saddam, not pro-American. Your father was operating in all of that. I don't know what it means to you, but for me as a military person, that is brave. Now, from the day that your father died, did your mother ever tell you about what she went through?
Yeah.
Okay.
She did. She said it was a really difficult day because she had overheard that Omar was with our dad, and so when she heard that Majid, our father, was dead, she thought Omar was dead too. She had no idea if he was alive, really if he was okay or anything. She knew nothing. And I remember actually this past summer when we were in Jamestown on our way leaving, my mom started talking to us about more stories that we had never heard before. And she said how fearful that time was because all of an instant it was, now there was a bounty on Omar, and then it was my mom not only just lost her husband but has to protect all of her children. Yeah. And she said it was the most fearful time of her life. And our grandma, she came to the house to try to help us, and my mom said there was one day where she was praying that she wouldn't die, and she remembered that people were going to come and they were trying to find us, and so she told our grandma to hide all of us kids in this house because there was a knock on the door, and she thought that this person was genuinely going to kill her. And as she opened the door, it was actually U.S. military forces, and it wasn't someone going to kill her. So it was a very relieving moment for my mom after days of just thinking she was going to die.
So was it Captain Grant Wills and Shane Beckert at the door?
I believe so. I don't.
Yeah, because they had,
I'm not sure 100%.
Had a lot of heavy influence in your family.
Yeah, it was. She mentioned Shane, and she said that Shane was she jumped into Shane's arms, and that she was just relief, and she just felt like a breath of fresh air because she risked her life and she protected all of us. Right? She put us all in a room and a closet, and she was like, stay here. And she told her mom, my grandma, to stay here. And she was like, if you go out, then we're all gonna die. So she put us in the closet, or she put my family in the closet, and she went to the door thinking that she was gonna die, and if they found her, then she would just be dead. But thankfully it was Shane Beckert who was at the door and really just kind of rescued my mother and my family.
You're close to the Beckert family and the Wills family, aren't you?
Yeah. Will's daughter and I have been really close friends ever since we were young, and we still have a super close relationship. So it's really nice being connected and close with some of the people who risk their lives to save ours.
And the 141st has become a second family, hasn't it?
Yeah, It has.
Speak to me about what people should really take away from the Iraqi war. Because to explain to the audience, the Iraqi people didn't have a say in going to war. what would be the one takeaway for people watching this podcast that they can really and should really understand about what the locals went through?
Traumatizing. That's what I could put in one word. Hearing the stories of my mom, and not only my mom, but my siblings during the time of the war, and what they had seen is something I personally can't comprehend. I mean, I was only 2, so I don't remember those things, but the stories they've said and the things that they've seen is something that I feel like people would pray they would never go through. So I think media says a lot about what it was like, but I think that actually being there and experiencing everything is a lot worse than what the media said it was.
It's true.
Yeah.
What would you have to say to
I would say,
Tiffany?
yeah, it's really traumatizing for the people back home, and there's a lot of lives that were lost, unfortunately, you know, and because of that, you know, people emphasized it and made it look into something that it's not, and that, like, you know, there was multiple lives that were lost on both sides, which is very unfortunate, but it was just very traumatizing and very, you know, risky, everything. So yeah.
I don't know the exact number of Iraqi civilians that died in the war, but the reason we don't know the exact number is that a lot of Iraqis would bury their dead without death certificates. But I know you have a pretty good idea what the number might be because you understand the culture. I remember I was told once by a girl, you have no understanding what has happened here. And your culture doesn't understand it because people have been dying in this country for a long time. It's just part of what's happening here. And to a certain extent, America's involvement in it made it worse. For a long time, actually. I don't know if that could have been prevented. But I know there were a lot of people who would say under Saddam, there was more organization, but you couldn't trust the government. In retrospect, what was your opinion on what you saw in the war and what it did to the country?
Yeah, the war was a really long time, and I think even after the 2005 war, when we ended up leaving Iraq, just living in North Dakota, there were so many different times in a span of multiple different years where my mom would get phone calls from her brothers and sisters saying, oh, hey, like, there's bombs, like, we could literally die. Like, it wasn't just over when we left. It was a continuous fight. And I think, looking back retrospectively, it kind of put a negative view on Iraq. And I think we just went back to Iraq this October. And I think for the longest time, the media scared me because it showed, oh, this is what Iraq is like. You know, there's so much terrorism there, there's this and that happened after the war. And going back actually was super eye-opening because it's nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah. It has progressed a lot in over 20 years. Like, there's more freedom back there than there was 20 years ago. Every place is open and more opening towards women specifically. But yeah, Iraq back then used to be very corrupt. And there was good parts and there was bad parts, of course, any government. But yeah, it's definitely progressed, you know, as a place like Baghdad and that, and it's literally beautiful back there. There's so many eye-catching things like Mutanebi, Elif Lele Walele. They're all like places that you can go to that are very beautiful, and they've definitely built on the destruction that's been passed over 20 years.
So would it be safe to say, don't judge the Iraqi people based on the Iraqi government's actions?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I would like the two of you, in a closing statement, to tell the people what you would like them to understand about your family.
So I would say my family, we're very close-knit. We love everyone. We're very, very giving, and we have even more love to give. We're close-knit because of everything that happened back then, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea of us and any idea or that we betrayed our people back home, or we betrayed like the American soldiers by any means. It's nothing like that. We did everything to protect everyone around us and our family. So yeah.
I'd have to agree with her. I think our family is one of the closest families I think I've ever met. We're so loving towards one another, and no matter what happens in our life, we make sure that nothing will tear us apart, considering the fact that we lost our dad at such a young age and went through so many things. And I just think that, people think, oh, we came to the U.S. and we got it easy and all these things, but I think what people don't realize is even when we got here, it was a fight for so many years. And to be called an American has been one of the hardest things until we actually got those documents, and it's like, we're actually Americans now.
Okay, so what I want to say to you two, I read your dad's story. If there ever was a person that needed to be called a hero and not a traitor, it was him. But your father knew he was going to die, and he asked Grant and Shane to take care of his family. Did they do that?
Yeah.
They did. Yeah. One thing is, I know my dad knew that he was gonna die. Back then, my brother Ahmed, he had a dream that my dad died, and he told my dad. And my dad he said, Ahmed, I know I'm gonna die. And so he knew the days leading up that this was gonna happen and that he was gonna be killed, but unfortunately that happened. And luckily, Omar, because he was with him, Omar...
He saved Omar.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a crazy thing to experience for Omar, and that's his side that I can't say because that's for him to say. But I just know that my dad saved him and did everything to protect us and protect everyone around him, including the soldiers and the Americans that helped us. And, yeah.
I want to thank April and Asra Al-Abase for being here today. These are two brave young ladies who are part of a rich family history. The Al-Abase history is rich, and both of these two deserve respect for what they have gone through and what they have been part of. And I want to thank them for being here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. That's it for the Military Historian Podcast. I'm Lloyd Shellenberger, your host. Tune in for more podcasts on the PNN Academy. Thank you.